Hey everyone, welcome in to another daily editorial here on the KE Report. I'm getting an update from Novo Resources, traded on the TSX under the symbol NVO and on the OTCQX under the symbol NSRPF. I am chatting with the executive co-chairman, Mike Spreadborough. Now, Mike, I've received a number of emails from our listeners who clearly follow along, still following along with this story, just asking for a bit of a summary in terms of the exploration plans for this year. I think everybody is up to speed on the transition now for the company back to exploration on a large land package that the company holds in Western Australia. Mike, just from a high level aspect, the key points for this year's exploration. Bring us up to speed, please.
Yeah, thanks very much, Corey, and it's good to catch up early in the year. So as you said, we've really completed the formal transition back into an exploration company. I think we are in a very good position going forwards. Most of our exploration targets and priorities are drill ready. So people will see a lot of activity this year with drill rigs drilling holes, which is good. So we've really got 4 exploration targets which we can talk about. But the key still for us is what we call the Becher Project. That's in the centre of the Pilbara and in the centre of our tenements. It's part of what we now call the Edge in a Camp, which is an 80 kilometre long zone of tenements that we have that we think are extremely prospective. The reason we like Becher, and people will see some of the recent results, and there'll be more to come, is it's got the same geology as the Hemi Gold Project, which is more formally called the Malina Gold Project. So listeners could look up on the ASX, De Grey Mining, and you'll see the Malina Gold Project. Huge project, 10 million ounces, just remarkable. So we're literally 30 kilometres away from that, and the same shear and structure zones and rock types that there come into the Becher zone. So late last year, we spent 32,000 metres of air core. That's looking at the cover, looking for gold anomalisation, and we've got a great signature. So this year, the number one primary target listeners should focus on is our follow-up drilling that'll happen kind of late March, early April on that Becher project. So that's the number one key priority. We see this as a game changer, great opportunity for re-rating of Novo.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about that then. If you're using that De Grey project as an analog for what could be at Becher, how many meters are going to be drilled there? What sort of results are you looking for if you're planning on getting it to a large resource?
Yeah, a good question. So, and again, it would be good if listeners want more information, have a look at our updated corporate pack because it'll put a little bit more of this in context. So Becher is huge. It's 20 square kilometres. So apologise for my Australian metrics. I don't know how that works in square miles, but 20 square kilometres, it's a zone that's about 8 kilometres by 3 kilometres, the box that we're looking at. So last year, our focus was really on the cover, which is very small in area, 10 to 20 metres of cover, looking for zones of elevated gold above the background, and then that's used for analysis and targeting for deeper holes. So going forwards for March, April, people will see 2 things. We will start some of that RC deeper drilling into areas that we think are good targets, but you'll also see continuation of the air core, looking at the surface, looking for additional areas. So, within Becher, it's such a large area, we've delineated 5 key zones that we're focusing on, and we'll kind of systematically work for those and drill deep. Probably the analogy back to De Grey is back at this same level of exploration. De Grey had 2 projects where they saw similar results to us as the air core, and now here we are 8 years later, and both of those projects are 1 million ounce type projects on their own. So that's the potential that we're looking for. No guarantees, obviously, but that's where our whole focus is in Becher. Really now looking at what are the targets, drilling deeper holes, and we should, as I said, we'll start drilling in early April.
Okay, so the program starts in, let's say, just over a month. How many meters are going to be drilled here? How many rigs? What's the budget? What more can you tell us just about this Becher drilling?
Yeah, so you'll see 2 drill rigs on Becher, and a bit hard to put meters around it, but kind of the first phase, if you call it, will be straight up about 10,000 meters of RC and over 20,000 meters of air core that we'd like to complete between now and the middle of the year. And then based on those results, we'll then target the exploration program for the rest of the year. So quite intensive activity in Q2 of this calendar year at Becher.
Okay. So would you classify it as then discovery drilling, or has a discovery already been made that you're hoping to simply expand on?
Yeah, Corey, you're getting me in trouble with the exploration team. Look, it's part of building the story. You know, the first layer has been the geologist out there mapping, taking soil samples. The second layer has been us doing this air core, and also from the air core, not only looking at gold, but they look at the suite of elements that are in the hard, intrusive rock at the bottom of the cover. And then third phase gets into the RC drilling, trying to build that picture. So, you know, I wouldn't be as bold to say that we're on that discovery path, but we are peeling the layers in the onion, and hopefully we will see great success between, you know, now and mid-year. But look, it's very exciting. Every geologist that we have spoken to really appreciate the work that's been done by the team, but also the potential of this project, which is great.
Okay. Outside of Becher then, what other projects are going to be drilled? What else can you tell us about other areas? You mentioned 4 areas of focus. Sounds like mostly at Becher, but what else will be drilled?
Yeah, so let's just quickly touch the other projects. So the next key priority of our drilling program is a project called Bellary Dome. We've had this gold rights on this joint venture for a long time. We did some great reconnaissance exploration last year. We're now ready to go drilling, and we'll drill about 3,500 meters of air core and RC drilling, again starting late March. That will run us through to June. From that information, we'll then get a good feel. So Bellary Dome is in the southern portion of the Pilbara. It's a different style of mineralisation. The rock chip sampling has been very promising. So that's kind of number 2 target for this year. Our other key focus is still back at Mosquito Creek. We've taken a different approach to Mosquito Creek Basin. You know, now, unfortunately, with operations shut down, we're standing back and looking at a big basin level, and the team are really looking for what are the big projects that are kind of in the periphery of the Mosquito Creek Basin. So people will see that work continue this kind of half. You won't see drilling until the second half of this year. And then our other key priority is our Victorian Tenements. We've called these project now the Bell Topper Project. There's a nice round hill in the middle of our tenements, which is called the Bell Topper Hill. So we've called this the Bell Topper Project. Again, the geos will do a lot more work based on some drilling last year, and we will go drilling in the second half of this year. So first half of this year, drilling at Bellary and Becher, doing reconnaissance work on our other 2 projects, and then the second half of the year you'll see continuation of drilling at Becher, some drilling in Mosquito Creek, and some drilling in Bell Topper in Victoria. So that's kind of the overall profile, subject to change depending on, you know, results, and definitely people will see that discovery plan laid out in our new corporate presentation. They can really clearly see what we're trying to achieve this year. So all of those projects are very exciting, quite well advanced.
Okay, I'll link to the corporate presentation so everyone can read over that. What about some of the past projects that we've heard about, that we've even talked about over the last few years? Is anything happening there? Is this truly that shift of focus to more newer early stage gold exploration?
So, yeah, some of the projects that we've talked about in the past have had, you know, different kind of metamorphism. If we talk about some of the work that we did last year in the West Pilbara, where we were definitely focusing on some nickel and copper projects at Purdy's North, etc., that's been quite successful. So we announced in our corporate presentation a couple of weeks ago that we're now going to divest our West Pilbara battery metals portfolio. So that process is underway. We really want to focus on our gold tenements. So We'll keep some of the gold rights, but the main targets there are really battery metals, nickel and copper and cobalt. So we'll divest those. So those projects that we talked about last year, we've done enough work for us to understand the value. So we're off there talking to people to see if we can kind of come up with some shareholder value for it. And definitely on a similar vein, previously we've talked south of Mosquito Creek Basin, there's some pegmatites, and we did a deal in December where we joint ventured the pegmatite or lithium exploration to another party. We've still kept a great ownership of that, but it allows someone else to focus on that again while we focus on gold. Amongst that, we still haven't forgotten some of the other great names, Comet Well and all of those other works that people heard about the last 4 to 5 years. But at the moment, we've got to say that Bellary Dome, Becher, and even work that we'll do in the second half of the year at Nunnery are much more attractive in terms of bringing success to shareholders than us chasing Comet Well at the moment. So not forgotten, but prioritisation has shifted us into some of these projects.
Now, can you give us more information on the lithium projects that are under this partner? That's the most recent news release from February 23rd that outlined the exploration program. Bring everybody up to speed if they missed that, please.
Yeah, so, we discovered 22 kilometres of pegmatite south of our Nullagine project or Mosquito Creek Basin. We did enough work to identify that there was great potential there. We sought partners. So we did a joint venture with a group called Litam. We like Litam. They're actually operators of a lithium mine already in Western Australia. They've built a world-class exploration team, and within the joint venture and farming model, they now take accountability for the exploration program, and we still maintain upside ownership to that. So the announcement that you saw a couple of weeks ago is really letting everyone know that Litam have put together a team. They've got a $4 million exploration program underway this year, so that's very, very exciting. They're very keen. They're very optimistic on what they'll see. And as also part of that deal, we've also given them an opportunity to look across the rest of our tenements for lithium potential. And again, we would retain some ownership and some upside for shareholders. So I think it's a good balance for us to focus on gold, but also keeping some upside on lithium.
Okay, so still getting back to that gold focus, but you have seen, I guess, some other showings here that, A, you're trying to offload for the nickel, and then the lithium, you already have a JV partner on there. How much cash does the company have to move through exploration this year? What's going to be the budget? Give us some insights here, please.
Yeah, so at the moment we have around about $45 million of cash in the bank. So that's updated in the corporate presentation. And, so we've got enough funds to get us going and really do a good job on executing an exploration program. Really that kind of a sense around mid-year on our Becher results will really determine what the program will be for the remainder of the year. So people should be really mindful of some of the updates that we'll put out in kind of May, given drilling will start off in, late March or early April. We'll start to see first results in May, and that will give us all indication of the potential for us to even increase drilling programs or budgets if projects are really good. So again, we're in a great position to execute the program that we think will give us the best bang for buck, given those priorities for exploration.
So you talk a lot about how drilling and the results will lead more of the drilling from this year. Fair enough. That's what a lot of companies do. What kind of results are you looking for? Obviously, higher grade, long width, that's exactly what everybody wants. But what shows you that you're into the right system? Give us some heads up on that, please.
Yeah, so for Becher, the GOs will be looking for two things. Number one is as we do the RC drilling, which will be deeper holes, they'll be looking for the same sanucatoid or intrusive type rocks that we know will be gold bearing based on our understanding of the Malina Hemi system. So that's number one, is the hole in the right area. And then the second prize is when we assay those holes, what type of grades we get and the length. And then the ability over multiple holes to be able to join the dots so we can see, the interpretation and directions that the ore zone or mineralisation might be running, and that will allow us to target the drilling. So it's a two-way street. We're definitely not only looking for just gold grades. You really need to understand the geology and the rock types, and that allows you to optimise the program. So that's what we've been doing, and we'll keep doing it.
So overall then, Mike, is the play now here to go out, make some discoveries, show that those discoveries have size, and then potentially sell those assets? Or would the company even think about going back into production on any of these new assets, understanding that it is still very early on here?
It's a good question, Corey, and it is early on, but as a company and as a board, we will take each deposit on its merits. As you see in Western Australia, there is a lot of activity and a lot of processing plants around the country. So depending on where you find things, sometimes the best thing for shareholders is to joint venture with a nearest company who's already got a processing plant, so you don't need to spend $200 million on capital. So look, we've just got to wait and see. Becher could be a fantastic project that really drives Novo to develop it itself. Or it could still be something that we joint venture with another partner who might have infrastructure. But a bit early days, but we are agnostic in our purpose that people see on our website, that we're happy to move in different directions for whatever gives us the best value for shareholders.
Okay. Well, Mike, I appreciate this update. I'm sure there'll be some questions on the back of this, so please, everybody, send me your questions. I will get Mike to address those, and I'll keep bringing him on a bit more regularly as we get some more news on the exploration that's ongoing this year. Sounds like there's going to be a lot of exploration, plus potentially some news from partners, and even bringing in somebody to explore on those nickel assets. So, Mike, please keep us up to date on future news. In full disclosure, I am a shareholder of Novo Resources. I'll be chatting with Mike more regularly, so please, everyone, send me your questions. And Mike, please keep us up to date on future news.
Thanks very much, Corey, and do ask listeners, have a good look on the website. That'll bring you up to date, but always happy to answer questions.